Hey, yoga mamas. I just want to share a little guidance on one pose, Ustrasana, also known as camel pose, and it's backward bend. It can be very deep, but I will provide some modifications that can make it more gentle. I think it's good and wise, though, to sort of like prepare yourself for it. Like, unless you're very flexible or well practiced or you just got out of yoga class, I wouldn't just like plunk myself down into it. So you could just start, loosening the shoulders by rolling them forward a few times and back. And part of doing this is warming up the body, and the other part is to kind of see where you're at. What do you feel in your shoulders and upper back as you do this? Maybe take a deep breath in and bring your shoulders up, and then drop them down. Try it again. Maybe shake your arms out. A few neck rolls in one direction and the other. Again, doing this to warm up, but also to just feel what's going on in the area of the neck. Ooh, feels tight. Maybe bring the arms out and just open the chest up. And maybe you can go a little deeper with that and just interlace the hands behind the back and reach. That's one way to open that up, and you feel the shoulder blades coming together. If it's tough to do that, you can grab the arms like that, and or even just reach back or touch like that. But you're bringing the shoulder blades together. Okay, a little bit of warm up, not a ton. So, some variations of camel pose. I'm not just gonna pop into it now. I'll show it to you at the end. But you normally would start in Virasana, which is a kneeling pose. Get my blanket out of the way. I put the blanket there sometimes for padding for the knees. I also want to show that if you have a blanket and you want to roll it up, if it doesn't feel good for you to kneel, you can do that. It's kind of big and bulky, but you can get a smaller, like a towel or a thin cushion. For some people, this makes it more accessible. Um, if the tops of your feet, front of your ankles are tight, you can tuck your toes under. So there's that. That's one way to modify to make it more comfortable. And that's the beginning of the pose, is from kneeling. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. Like, I'm going to use the blanket as padding for my knees. Another way to prop if your floor is hard, which mine is. Okay, so you start in Virasana. This is a kneeling pose. Traditionally, that doesn't feel right for your body. Or if you have pain or any chronic tension in your lower back, you might come up kneeling with the hips above the knees. Toes can point back or tuck under. And from here, you would have the hands on the lower back or on the pelvis, back of the pelvis. Fingers are facing down. And just let your breath flow. And as you open up, shoulder blades come together, just like we did in that warm up. Hips might shift forward a little, and you either look forward or your head can go back. So try that. Maybe you shift only if it feels good here, or you stay with hips above the knees and open up. It might not be a big back bend. That's all right. If you want to go deeper, you're totally welcome to put one hand down and then the other. Again, you can look forward or the head can go back. And then to come out, you reach up with one arm and then the other. Okay. So that was in gradations, like you would start. And if this is the maximum you can or want to do, that's cool. If you want to go down with one side and then the other, that's another way to do it. You want to make sure you got you're upright in your core. And that's not holding it, it's just kind of opening, and you might even raise an arm. Another way, if you don't want to start from kneeling up, is starting from down, kneeling down, and putting hands behind you, and the fingers are facing back. Now, this starts out kind of easy and then gets more intense. So you're in this version, you're going to slowly lift the hips and shift them forward. Now, depending on your flexibility, you might go partly forward, you might go more chin is into the chest, or the head goes back if that feels good. When you come down, go slow. Okay, for some people that does not feel good at all. And if that doesn't even begin to feel good, don't go there. And maybe one day you can do that, and another day it's like it doesn't feel possible. So listen to your body. Another variation, which could also be a warm up for the full pose, is starting in that kneeling and having the hands back behind you and just doing like a mini one. So there's different ways to place the hands, and you can just find what's comfortable, and you just come up a little bit. Honestly, this sometimes feels harder to me because it's not as easy to get high up into it, but let it be something you play with. I want to think of these postures as explorations. You don't always have to go in this full deep posture for it to be worth it. All right, last variation is more of a movement, a mini sequence, and you kneel in Virasana. Again, you can put something between the hips, or the thighs and the calves. This next part is the hands can go on the feet or on the ground behind you. So it'll be one at a time. And this is more of like a side to side movement. So let's say my right hand goes down, my left arm sweeps in front of me, and maybe go up without lifting the hips, or I can go up and lift the hips. And to the other side. Hips stay down or go up. Back and forth. Right. You get the idea, but notice when I'm doing that, my gaze is all over the place. I'm looking to the side, I'm looking up, I'm looking down, and there's no rule about where you place your focus visually. It's just what feels good in your neck. And I'm talking about that now because in the other versions, I said you could either look forward or you can let the head go back. And in those different positions, your gaze will be in a different direction. And we use that, and it's called drishti. Drishti is your focal point with your eyes, and it helps you find balance and stability. And sometimes it's an extra challenge to kind of let that gaze wander. And now I'm kind of bending the rules traditionally because a lot of poses have a traditional drishti, and in camel pose, it's the tip of the nose. So essentially, you would be like crossing your eyes to look at your nose, which is fine and has its own benefits. But for now, I'm just saying which direction is the head looking, forward with the chin down or back. And when you're doing that side to side one, which looks like this, the legs look different, but this is just to give you another view of what I was doing. And without lifting my hips, you can lift the hips, but notice how I still get a nice opening in the chest and the whole front of the body, at least the front of the torso. And then you can even just hold that somewhere along the way. You don't have to just keep moving, but you could, maybe there's a spot that feels like it needs a little bit of opening. Feels great. I'm all about bending the rules in alignment and position as long as it's safe for the body. So let's, my invitation to you is just to explore this posture. This is not, this is not guidance for like a complete beginner. I do invite you to go to yoga classes, Google it, consult other resources for the very basics on the specific alignment if you're not sure. But I hope that you at least play with those little variations and they make camel pose a little more fun and help you explore it in little doses so you don't feel like you have to pop up into this big back bend. So give it a try. Let me know how it goes. This can be a spontaneous thing you do in your day when you're, I don't know, doing something around the house or playing with your kids on the rug or whatever, or you can incorporate this into a sequence or a session. And at the end of this month, not this month, but in October, I will kind of provide a little sequence that uses camel pose and some of the movements and areas of the body um, in a sequence that makes kind of like a fluid sense so that you prepare your body for camel and then you do some things to counter it. So looking forward to that. And I say not the end of this month because the way I'm approaching my newsletter on Substack now, Urban Yoga Mama, is to starting with actually the autumn equinox, which was last Friday. From there, I will measure that month, the month's theme. So the month is not the calendar month of September; it's from that equinox until the full moon of October. So we will be following the cycles of the moon and the cycles of the seasons to provide a structure for the monthly themes and just the general flow of the offerings here. So check it out at urbanyogamama.substack.com. It's a newsletter on Substack for busy moms who want to do yoga no matter how busy they are. So I hope this has inspired you. I hope you got some good tips here. Please feel free to comment or ask questions either in this YouTube thread or on my newsletter at urbanyogamama.substack.com. Thanks for watching. Happy practicing.